Bon après-midi, chers.
Good afternoon, colleagues, honorable senators, and welcome to our witnesses.
Senate Committee on Social Affairs, Science and Technology. Mon nom est Chantal Petitclerc, sénatrice du Québec, et c'est un plaisir.
My name is Chantal Leclerc, and I'm a senator for Quebec, and I'm happy to chair this meeting.
For our witnesses, I would like to please ask my colleagues to introduce themselves, and we will begin on my right.
Judith Seidman from Montréal, Québec.
Bienvenue, Rosemary Poirier, Nouveau-Brunswick.
Nikki Eaton, Ontario. Welcome.
Welcome, Mohammed Ravalia, Newfoundland and Labrador.
Victor O, Toronto.
Bienvenue, José Paul-Anicin du nord de l'Ontario.
Bonjour, Marie-Françoise Mégy, Québec.
Stan Couture, Nova Scotia.
Ratna Omidvar, Toronto.
Rosemary Moody, Toronto.
Donna Dasco, Toronto.
Oh, yeah.
It's already sit together.
Why not? Why not?
Joe Munson, Ottawa.
Oh, no.
Merci beaucoup. Alors aujourd'hui,
Thank you, everyone. So today we'll be carrying on with the study of our Bill C-81, an act to ensure a barrier-free Canada. It's a great privilege to have you here with us today. Thank you for contributing to the important study of this bill. Today with us, we have from AgeWell, we have Rosalie Wang, Assistant Professor for the Department of Occupational Science and Occupational Therapy from the University of Toronto. And we also have with us Mr. Frank Folino from the Canadian Association of the Deaf.
Give you some time for your opening remarks, and it will be followed by questions. And we will begin with you, Mr. Folino.
Thank you for the opportunity to appear before the Standing Committee on Social Affairs, Science and Technology during its study of Bill C-81 and the Accessibility Act, Canada Act. The Canadian Association of the Deaf, Association des Sourds du Canada, is a national non-for-profit organization that promotes accessibility for deaf people who use American Sign Language, ASL, and Langue de Signes du Québécois, LSQ. CAD has been an active member of the leadership team of the Federal Accessibility Legislation Alliance, FALA, which has brought forward needed amendments for Bill C-81, such as timelines, standardization processes for the timely resolution of complaints, and others as well. We commend the Government of Canada and the Minister for introducing Bill C-81, which is an important and positive step towards becoming an accessible Canada. However, an integral part of Bill C-81 will achieve its purposes of a barrier-free Canada with legal recognition of ASL and LSQ as the languages of deaf people, because this does actually make a tremendous difference for deaf Canadians through accessibility to information, communications, and services. Since Canada ratified the CRPD, many other countries have ratified the convention as well. Over 45 countries have already recognized their national sign languages by their governments. Some examples would be Greece, Ireland, Scotland, Italy, Mexico, New Zealand, and many more. But Canada, our country, is not on the list. Also, the convention does clearly recognize sign languages are equal to spoken and written languages that interweaves with other articles of the convention, which mention specific rights to sign languages and accessibility. To achieve accessibility for the deaf people through recognition of ASL and LSQ will allow full participation, protection, and promotion This will allow them to fully exercise their rights and responsibilities in a barrier-free Canada. Some examples of these would be production of ASL and LSQ videos on federal government websites, provision of ASL and LSQ in-person and video interpreting at federal government services, provision of picture-in-picture screen of ASL and LSQ interpretation through broadcast television and digital communications. For example, federal leaders' debates, emergency alert announcements, and any other accessible services. Just for example, recently to note, New Zealand shooting that recently happened. It was a horrific, terrible event, and the Prime Minister of New Zealand announced his broadcast on television with their sign language interpreters side by side, so that the deaf people, deaf citizens of New Zealand, had full access to information in their sign language because their country recognizes their sign language. And they know that they need that in order to be accessible. So Canada can take this opportunity and follow suit amongst other countries in the world. To ensure that these principles that guided the development of the CRPD are nothing about us without us, to remain true to this principle, it is imperative that the Senate amend Bill C-81 and add to Section 6 of the Act the following. All deaf persons must have barrier-free access to full and equal participation in society, recognizing that American Sign Language, ASL, and Langue de Signes Québécoise, LSQ, are languages of persons who are deaf in Canada. So that's the amendment we propose to the Senate to consider. We're not asking for official recognition or official languages recognition. This is our language, our culture, our community that will enable us to participate fully in society. And so we propose that to you for your discussion. And furthermore, we also recommend in Section 117 to be amended to require accessibility regulations to advance the purpose and further principles of the Act. This will allow Canada to meet its human rights obligations. The international community is looking forward to attending the Conference of States Parties to the CRPD at UN headquarters in June 2019. I'm eager to join their celebrations as a proud Canadian, and I would like to be able to share or announce at that time that Canada too recognizes ASL and LSQ. Following royal assent, CAD looks forward to working with the Government of Canada on the implementation of the Accessible Canada Act, including legal recognition of ASL, LSQ as the languages of deaf people in Canada. I would be pleased to answer any of your questions. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you. Ms. Wang.